Hey everyone. Oh, I just have to get adjusted. I'm going to give Facebook a second to let everyone know that I am live. I have to keep the glasses on today, y'all. I'm going to have to get some new glasses. I've been having some headaches and stuff, and I thought it was the weather and all that shit, and then realized that I have to wear my glasses all the time. Wear the glasses, no more headaches. Hi, Christy. I wonder what is reflecting. It has to be that stupid light right there. Tell you what. Hi, Sharon, Rhapsody. Yay. All right, I have comments. Happy Friday the 13th, y'all. Yay. And if you don't celebrate Friday the 13th, I hope after today's video, you will celebrate Friday the 13th because it is something that needs to be celebrated. I believe. So, all right. I am Morgan, owner of Ink Goddess Creations. If you've never been here before, seriously, it's really distracting. Yeah, glasses are coming off. It'll be all right. I'm Morgan, owner of Ink Goddess Creations. I am here on the Facebook page every other Friday talking about magical stuff. So I thought, what better subject today than Friday the 13th? Because there is magic that can be practiced on Friday the 13th. And I definitely wanted to share that with everyone, especially you female witches, because it applies to us heavily. So yeah, Rebecca's here. Hello, Kim, Nancy. Linda says, I was born on Friday the 13th. That's awesome. Very empowering. I promise you. So yeah, I'm going to be going over origins of Friday the 13th and the magic that you can practice today. There have been some infographics. I have put some infographics up, today on social media with some of this information, but we're going to deep dive today and we're going to really just kind of get into it because I found the origins of Friday the 13th extremely fascinating when I was doing the research for this live. So yeah, let's jump in, okay? So it is Friday the 13th. It is also the dark moon phase. So I'm going to kind of incorporate some of that kind of near the end as far as, what the dark moon phase is and how you can celebrate that as well this evening. All right. So and if you haven't been here before, so I always forget that there are new people. What I do is I kind of go over a little bit and then I pause and I catch up on comments and questions and then I'll go over a little bit more. So if you do have any comments, questions, anything like that, pop them up in the chat like as I'm going through everything. And I do get to them, kind of throughout the thing. So Adriana is here and Jenny, hello. Hi, Maria. Hi, Crystal and Heather. Okay, caught up on hellos. Let's jump in. All right. So the origins of Friday the 13th are actually quite unclear. You hit any website, any number of texts, they'll all tell you something different. So because I wasn't there personally when Friday the 13th was, created, or when someone said Friday the 13th is bad from this point forward, we're just going to go over a little bit of everything. Okay. So I can't read my own handwriting. Some of the origins are pagan. Some of them are Christian. Some of them are just superstitious in general. So this is kind of like, because there are no records of a time and a date where it was like, this is the origin of Friday the 13th, and this is why it's bad, or this is why you should be superstitious. We're going to I'm going to pull from here. I'm going to pull from here. We're going to just kind of go down just of knowledge. I'm just going to give you knowledge today. Lots of it. Okay, so a lot of my research did come from the History Channel. I will let you know that. I find the History Channel to be quite accurate. So, and their articles and stuff like that, highly researched. So a lot of it did come from there, but I did pull from some pagan websites as well. Just a little bit of everything. So the first thing I want to start with is the actual numerology of the number 13, because when you're looking at the fact that Friday the 13th is considered unlucky, you have to kind of break it down, at least as far as going back to before, and I'm going over it, the 1300s. Okay, so in the 30s, there was an event that happened on a Friday the 13th, and from that point forward, it is believed that it is unlucky. But it goes back, if you take the Friday and you take the number 13, unluckiness or kind of the bad energy associated with that goes back way before the 30s. So that's why I'm going to start there. So To understand the numerology of the number 13, you have to actually understand the numerology of the number 12. The number 12 is completeness, is the completion of a cycle. It is considered to be the perfect number or one of the perfect numbers out there. Okay. There are 12 months in a year, which 12 zodiacs. There are 12 gods of Olympus. Jesus had 12 apostles, and there are 12 hours on a clock. So all of these things represent a beginning, a middle, and an end all coming together. Okay, so it's a complete cycle. So because number 12 is considered in numerology to be perfect, to be a complete number, 13 that just takes you out of your comfort zone right there. Like, we're all happy over here at 12, everything's complete, we're all there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, we're all good. And now you want to add one, that throws it all off. That's just crazy. It's crazy talk. So number 13 is a number of transition, of change, of coming out of your comfort zone, because you're complete at 12, you add 1 to 12, and now it's just chaos. So that's why a lot of people, or that is why there's some negative energy associated with the number 13. People don't like change, they don't like transition, they don't like being out of their comfort zone. So the whole energy that embodies is just uneasiness. Okay. And if you think about it, the superstitions and everything that have to do with Friday the 13th, don't let a black cat cross your path, don't walk under a ladder, don't step on cracks. I mean, all of these superstitions, it's because of the fear of unknown of something, and it's that uneasiness that it gives you of not knowing what's going to happen if you do these things. So that uneasy feeling is associated with the actual number 13 in numerology. Okay. I love saying this word. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13. I just want to throw that in there because I love saying it. Triskaidekaphobia. Oh. Number 13 is just a bad juju number in numerology. But why? Like, how did it are there historical references that associate the number 13 itself with bad energy? And yes, there are. And I love this. I love that, like, we're doing history today, we're doing nerdy stuff, but we're incorporating it with magic and witchcraft and female empowerment. And this is why I do this. This is what I love doing. So we're going to go back to 1750 BC. Okay. And the Code of Hammurabi was written when Hammurabi was a Babylonian king. And the Code of Hammurabi is one of the first legal documents ever recorded, like ever found. It was done on a tablet. I mean, it was carved into a tablet. It was 282 rules and punishments. Okay. And they were done kind of like, if this happens, then this happens. For example, I picked out my favorite one of my favorite ones. If a doctor killed a rich patient, then his hands would be chopped off. What? But if that doctor, or if a doctor killed a poor patient, he would only owe them a little bit of money. Like, what? So we're going back. It's very important. This tablet was found. It was translated. And when it was translated and given over, there was no number 13 on it. Okay? So there's like a 99% chance that there was no number 13 on it because whoever translated it skipped that one and kept going. So it was like a clerical error. But because there's no number 13 on this absolutely ancient first legal, representation that we ever have of laws, rules and punishments, it kind of was like, why is there not number 13? Is that bad? Is 13 not good? So that's kind of the energy that went with it. It made people superstitious of the number 13. Okay. Let me catch up real quick, and then we're going to go into Norse. The number 13 is bad in the Norse pantheon as well as Christianity. We're going to cover that. But I do want to cover, I see the little thing moving. Denise says, why does Facebook show times as UTC? I don't know. It always has it in mountain time for me. So I don't know. Okay. That was it. It was the bar was really small. And then Jennifer's here. Hello. Jennifer says hello. And Lee. All right. So the number 13 is unlucky. Also in Norse pantheon. You cannot have, according to the Norse pantheon or Norse beliefs, you cannot have 13 people dine together at the same table. If that happens, then death will come to one of the people. And this goes back to Loki. I mean, really, who else would it go back to? So there were 12 gods having dinner in Valhalla, having a good time, and Loki shows up uninvited, right? So Loki, being Loki, pulls a prank, and Balder, I'm not even going off my notes anymore. Balder, the god of joy and gladness, dies as a result of this prank. So because Balder was the god of joy and gladness, he's dead. The entire world falls into darkness and into mourning. So you don't have 13 people dine at a table together anymore, thanks to Loki. Okay, 13, bad number. Same goes for Christianity. The Last Supper had 13 people at the table. There was Jesus and his 12 apostles, and of course, one of them, the 13th person at the table was Judas, who we all know betrayed Jesus the next day. Happened to be a Friday that Jesus was killed, which goes into why Fridays aren't good. And Jesus was crucified, and so in Christianity, the number 13, it's the same. So for Norse and Christianity, you don't have 13 people dine at a table at the same time because somebody's going to die. Those are kind of the fear of, that goes into the fear of 13. It is so widespread. It's been ingrained so much, just the number 13 in the Western. Now, this is all Western, that there's a lot of buildings that don't have a 13th floor. There are hotels and hospitals that do not have a room 13. Even sometimes apartments won't have a apartment 13. There is, what is it? They don't, or they used to at least, they wouldn't send shipments by sea. Like they wouldn't send them off on a Friday the 13th. There's just a lot of stuff like, I mean, this affected architecture. There's no 13th floor in a lot of buildings or 13th room. So, but it dates back, like, we are talking hundreds of years, thousands of years. It dates back. So that's the number 13. We're breaking it down. Then we're going to go into Friday. So there are superstitions about Friday as well. And then we'll get to how you combine the two together. You got this bad juju with 13, you bad juju with Friday, and you put them together. And so Friday the 13th is just absolutely awful. Okay. And of course, then I'm going to dispute all of that at the end. So Christianity actually fueled most of the fear of Fridays. Okay. So Jesus was crucified on a Friday. It was also believed that Eve ate the apple on a Friday and got her and Adam kicked out of the Garden of Eden. It was also believed that Cain killed Abel on a Friday. The Great Flood, Noah's flood, began on a Friday. The people who wrote the Bible just did not like Fridays, right? The Temple of Solomon was destroyed on a Friday. And I understand on the seventh day, God rested, and it depends on how you look at the calendar, but Friday is the sixth day of the week. And of course, we all know 6 is a horrible number because 6 is the number of the devil. So that obviously, because Friday is the 6th day of the week, then Friday is evil. So Christianity, a lot of this whole thing of Fridays being bad has been fueled by Christianity or the people that wrote the Bible, which I find hilarious. I don't know why they hated Friday so much. It's right before the weekend. Like most of us love it, but back in the day, it was bad. It does stem from that, though. So in ancient Rome, Fridays was actually an execution day. Get your people, like, kill them before the weekend. I don't know. Like, we have the weekend off. And then in England, Fridays was Hangman's Day. So again, kill your criminals, and then you can have the weekend off. I'm not sure. Don't know. the combination of 13, there's a fear associated with 13. There is a fear associated with Friday. And those are your two pieces, like independent pieces. Okay. This is where my notes get crazy. Y'all gotta bear with me because I gotta follow the arrows. All right. Nancy says, I usually get a tat on Friday the 13th, just not this one. A lot of so I used to be a tattoo artist. A lot of tattoo shops do. They do like, you can, well, back in the day, I was a tattoo artist like 10 years ago. I never participated in it. Oh, no, I did. They made me when I was an apprentice. $13 tattoos on Friday the 13th, but it had to be like the number 13. No, I had to do those when I was an apprentice. I remember that now. Yeah. Okay. So following my arrows. Yes. Okay. So are there some historical events that added to this? Okay. So you've got Friday is bad and the 13th is bad. So when you cross the two together, have bad things happened on Friday the 13th? Why, yes. Yes, there have been. So on Friday the 13th in October of 1307, hundreds of Knights Templar were executed. It was a huge massacre. If you ever decide you want to dive into the Knights Templar, absolutely fascinating, just the history, the lore, everything associated with them. But it is sad they were all rounded up, or a lot of them, hundreds of them were rounded up and executed. It happened to be on a Friday the 13th. Okay. This is one of the main origin stories of Friday the 13th. So when anyone is like, oh, Friday the 13th is bad, it's superstitious, a lot of them do cite the Knights Templar being killed in 1307 as the beginning of the actual Friday the 13th being bad. Okay. There was also the German bombing of Buckingham Palace on September 13th, 1940. There's a lot of these too, but I went over ones that were kind of like huge. There was a cyclone that killed over 300,000 people in Bangladesh, November 13th, 1970. Tupac was killed on Friday the 13th, y'all. I didn't know that. But Tupac was killed on Friday the 13th. So there's a little bit more modern times for you. Okay, so then my notes go back. So this concept of Friday the 13th being bad, generally speaking, is a Western concept. Okay, Western meaning, like the United States, Canada, like the Western part of the world, mostly Christian in origin as well. So this is why a lot of pagans and a lot of witches don't fear Friday the 13th, because the superstitions, the reasons, the origins date from our culture, but also a Christian, Christian background. I personally celebrate it. I'm going to kind of get to that at the end though. So when you are, let me make sure, because we're going to get to that in a second too. When you're not talking Christianity or you're not talking the Western world, the number 13 is often revered. There's 13 moon cycles in a year. There in China, 13 is lucky. I did read somewhere that there were 13 Egyptian life stages, the 13th being death or the afterlife. I could only find that in one article though. I really tried to research more because I don't just kind of like read one thing and throw it out. Like I try to, match from several different sources information. And if there is like a story coming up that I'm going to tell that did come from one source, and I will name the source. So, but otherwise, I did my research to kind of pinpoint a couple of different sources on it. I wasn't able to find out, and I don't know if I just didn't give it enough time, but I did read that there was the 13 Egyptian life stages, the 13th being afterlife, which of course was very lucky. I mean, that's what the ancient Egyptians were aiming for, was was afterlife. So the whole unlucky thing, generally speaking, Western concept, definitely a Christian concept. So all of this led to a fear of Friday the 13th, which is called, and there's two names for it. I can only pronounce one, so that's the one I'm going with. Triskaidekaphobia. I love that word. So Frigga is the Norse god of love, the home, fertility, marriage. Frigga and Freya they're not the same person, but they're often interchangeable in the Norse pantheon or in lore. So not the Norse pantheon, but in lore or in stories, they're often confused or interchanged. So Friday is named for Freya. Some sources say Frigga because, like I said, they're kind of either confused or they're interchangeable in lore, in stories. But Frigga triskaidekaphobia is specifically the fear of Friday the 13th. The other one I could not pronounce. So I went with the pagan one, the Frigga triskaidekaphobia. So this is where I get to one source. All right. So there was an author named Charles Panatti. I can't read my own handwriting. I really hope that's Panatti. He wrote, yes, that is an N. Panatti's Extraordinary Origins of Everyday Things. Everyday Things. Yeah. So that's the book he wrote. And according to him, he claimed that Friday the 13th had origins during the Christian conversion of the Norse and Germanic tribes. Okay. Frigga, who, according to that, his research and that this origin story is the wife of Odin, was seen as evil. She's horrible, the evil woman, because she was the goddess of fertility. She was the goddess of love and of the home and of marriage, but she was a strong woman. She was horrible. She's not. So she was banished. They were trying to convert everyone over to Christianity. She was banished to the top of a mountain. She was labeled a witch. And of course, to Christian people, witches are bad. So every Friday, her day, she would convene, 12 other women, 11 women and the devil, and plot evil on the village below. She's probably just trying to get her village back because she was put up on this mountaintop, right? Taken away from her village. She was put up on this mountaintop by these Christians who were trying to convert everyone when they were perfectly fine with the Norse pantheon and with what they believed. But she was banished and she plotted every Friday the demise of the village. So, for many centuries in Scandinavia, Friday was known as the witches' Sabbath, and that's why Friday, which was Frigga's day, and 13, which was the number of women plotting on the mountain to take their village back, number of witches plotting on the mountain to get their village back. Friday the 13th was bad because of this. Now, we're hearing this story, right? We're like, yeah, Frigga, get your village back. Like, yeah, her and 12 other women and 13 makes a coven. 13 makes a coven. Oh, that is my husband. He went out the back door, came in the front door, so it freaked me out for a second. So, we're hearing that story and we're like, yes, 13 women on a mountaintop plotting to get their their village back from people who, plundered it and destroyed it and tried to tell them that their religion was bad. You go, women, like, do this. For the Christians, it's an evil, horrible story. Oh, yes. Okay, good. My arrows stopped there. Now that's been adopted into why there's 13 witches in a coven. I mean, that's kind of a typical number for the number of witches. And because of all of this is now interpreted by pagans, by witches, as an attempt by the Christian church to demonize the divine feminine. And strong, independent women in favor of their patriarchal systems, of one God, one male God and his son. And, and the women were really just kind of wiped out, especially strong women were just kind of wiped out by Christianity. So for us, for many pagans and witches, Friday the 13th is a day to celebrate. It is an empowering day for us, especially women. It is a great day to perform magic because we don't live by the Christian constructs anymore, All right, let me catch up. Linda says, was the calendar always 12 months? I thought July and August were added by the Caesars, and the last month, December, was the 10th month. There are so many calendars. It's more of like present day. Because, I mean, even if you look at it as far as there is a Julian calendar, but I mean, there's even different calendars according to different cultures. So the calendar has not always been 12 months, but it is 12 months now. So that's kind of where the numerology is coming from as far as modern times, like more modern times. And there's 12 months now. So yeah. Um, all right. That's what I have as far as the history lesson part of this. There was a lot of really cool tidbits of information here and there. Some rich men got together in the 1800s or early 1900s. I can't remember because I didn't write down, but they formed like the 13th club. They always got together on like the 13th floor, and there was 13 of them, and they got together on Friday the 13th, and they did all these rich men things, and there were some presidents involved, and but that was kind of fun to like see. And of course, we all know about pop culture speaking. We've got the Friday the 13th movie franchise, and which didn't really make me fear Friday the 13th growing up. It made me fear Friday the 13th was hockey masks, hockey masks. And if my parents ever said, "Do you want to go to camp?" Like, no. Is there a lake? There's no lake? I'm good. I can go to camp. But it didn't make me fear Friday the 13th. So now I'm going to get into the magic. So we're going to go into the magic of Friday the 13th, magic you can be practicing tonight, as well as I'm going to go into the dark moon just a little because it's also the dark moon. So I figure those two combined forces, you got the dark moon, the Friday the 13th. It's going to be a pretty cool night for magic if you decide you want to practice it. So today, definitely magically speaking, you want to honor your deities, especially the divine feminine. So any goddesses, strong female archetypes that you revere, ancestors, things like that. So anywhere where the divine feminine has affected you, you want to honor that. Any kind of transformation, transition, or change magic, if you're getting ready to be going through a change, you're going through a transition now. If you are fighting the transition, especially, now's the time to do some magic to maybe embrace that change and embrace that transformation and that transition that you're going through, or to see it maybe today is the day where you would see that in a better light. So if change is scary, transition is scary, but today would be the day when maybe you could flip your perspective on how you're looking at that change. Okay. You can definitely cleanse the old, anything that's old that you no longer need, an aspect of yourself that you don't want to carry with you, anything that's kind of holding you back from living your full potential. Today is a great day to shed that and get rid of it. Any kind of beliefs, ideas, practices, anything, bad habits. Today's a great day to get rid of those. It is a great day to face your fears. I mean, this whole day was built on fear. It was built on basically, a couple of different origins, but the Christians instilling this day with fear in an attempt to convert people over to their religion. So it's a great time because the day is full of fear. It's a good day for you to take that and face your fears. If there's a fear that you want to really tackle. Feminist magic, definitely, or matriarchal magic. So adding energy to matriarchal structures, any kind of feminist, any kind of social justice magic, that deals with feminism, women's rights, things like that. I don't know what you're looking for. That's another thing you can do today. Anything that's going to empower women is definitely, today's the day for that. And sex magic. We're embracing our sexuality. We're embracing our feminine qualities. We're embracing all of those things, especially as women, that those ancient Christian men did not know. You have to be subservient. Go be subservient to your men. And we're all like, I'm good, thanks. Embrace that. So sex magic, sexuality, self-love, I mean, all of that. Today is definitely a day for that. Also on the infographic, there's beauty and self-love because today's Friday. And Friday is the day for Freya or Frigga, and it is for love, self-love, beauty, self-confidence, things like that. So you can always incorporate that into this day, and it would kind of like blow it up, right? Rhapsody asks, would it be a good day for cord cutting? Yes. And because, thank you, Christy answered her and said, in combination with the dark moon, for sure. Yes. So you've got that cleansing energy of the Friday the 13th mixed with the dark moon energy of today. Cord cutting is perfect for today. All right. So the dark moon phase, because it is the dark moon phase. So the dark moon phase is basically the day or two right before the new moon. Okay. It is when you look up in the sky, because technically the new moon is when there is just this little itty bitty sliver of the moon. A lot of people think, well, it depends, honestly, because there are a lot of people that don't honor the dark moon phase. When there is no moon in the sky, when it looks like there's no moon in the sky, they call that the new moon. Okay. If you choose to honor or practice the dark moon phase, then when there is no moon in the sky, that's the dark moon phase. And then when there's just one little sliver, that would be the new moon phase. So today into tomorrow are the dark moon phases, with Saturday into Sunday kind of being the new moon phase. All right. I've always known 4 ways or 4 things you can do on the dark moon to honor the dark moon. Okay. The first one is magical rest and rejuvenation. So the theory is the moon is resting, it's dark, you can rest too. So you don't perform any magic at all. Self-care, pamper yourself. Again, Friday is a really good day for pampering, self-care, self-love, things like that. So you could decide to not do any magic and just pamper yourself, and that would be honoring the dark moon as well as Friday's energy. Number 2 is divination only. So this is a really good time for you to pull tarot cards, scry, work with your pendulum, things like that. But it would just kind of be for the purpose of uncovering truth. So uncovering knowledge that you don't have right now. Number 3 is strong banishings, exorcisms, protections, bindings. This is big, strong energy. So Rhapsody, this is where your cord cutting definitely comes into play, is with that strong banishing and exorcism. Like, I love using that word too. And then the 4th one is to honor dark goddesses. So those would be the goddesses that are kind of on the fringe. Some people look at them and they're scared, but a lot of us work with them because they're super empowering. And they have that warrior spirit. So that would be like Hecate, Lilith, Morrigan, Sekhmet, Baba Yaga, Caradwen, Kali, Persephone were the ones that I had kind of jotted down. Honoring the dark goddesses in conjunction with the Friday the 13th, really, that's some powerful energy right there. So those are the 4 kind of ways you can honor the dark moon, or the 4 ways that I have learned about kind of over, my 20 years of practicing. Those are the 4 things. So you've got rest, divination, banishings, and then honoring the dark goddess. So kind of in conclusion, just to sum up, for me as a kid, I always, Friday the 13th was fun. The only time I can ever remember, and I know I wasn't driving yet, but I was close to driving. So I was probably 13 or 14 years old. My mom had picked me up from school. We lived out in the middle of nowhere, and we hit a deer on the way home. And it was funny because Mom and I, that was on a Friday the 13th. That's the only thing I can ever really remember happening on a Friday, like something crazy or, bad happening on a Friday the 13th. Because, and the only reason I do remember is because my mom and I were having a conversation about how we were almost home. We were literally about 3 miles from home. And my mom was superstitious. So she was like, I just want to get home. And, once we get home, Friday the 13th will be fine. And we popped around a corner and hit a deer. So that's the only time I can remember anything bad kind of happening on Friday the 13th. So for me, it was always fun. The older I got and the more that I learned about the history of Friday the 13th, the more I began to celebrate it. And we run a sale at Ain't Goddess Creations every Friday the 13th. You can mark your calendars. It's 13% off. It is actually the biggest sale we ever do. We don't usually do more than 13% off because we price our things, not with a lot of profit margin to them. So the 13% off is usually the biggest sale that we'll run. We do it every Friday the 13th. And this stems from a decade ago when I owned my brick and mortar store. I started celebrating the Friday the 13th. It was a powerful day for witches. I wanted to celebrate it. And so back when I owned my brick and mortar store, I would do Friday the 13th, 13% off. So when I opened up Ain't Goddess Creations, I continued with it. So everything in the store, with the exception of the subscription box and gift cards and shipping, I think, are the only things that it doesn't apply to. But you just use the coupon code Friday the 13th. There's a pop-up, y'all. I think it's Friday 13th, Friday 13th. It's one of those things I programmed in like forever ago. It's only live on Friday the 13th, so I don't remember it anymore. There's a pop-up when you go to the website. But that's my way of celebrating on a business level. Like we're a witchcraft store, empowering women. If you want to take advantage of it, this is the biggest sale that we do. And we do it however many Friday the 13th there are in a year. So, and it's just for the day. It'll end at midnight my time, so mountain time. So today is definitely a day to celebrate, embrace your witchiness, your divine feminine energy. Honor the women who have come before you. Honor the divine feminine inside of you. Embrace who you are, where you came from, and down with the patriarchy, right? Down with patriarchy. Like, I'm a feminist. What can I say? I think that if more women ruled the world, I think that it would just be different, a lot better. So Christy says, that must be why I felt so compelled to finish my flying ointment, the Morrigan. Yes. She was probably tapping on you, knowing the Morrigan. That's one of the ones I work with. And she wasn't even tapping on you. She was probably standing somewhere tapping her foot, just like with her arms crossed, like, it's time for you to finish that, Christy. And Rebecca says, yes. So it is Friday 13th is the coupon code. All one word. I took advantage of it. Thank you, Rebecca. So that's my spiel for today. I love today, y'all. And I'm really, like, I knew it all in my head, and then it was time for me to put it down on paper. So I really got to dive into it. I was very, very sad to find out that Tupac was killed on Friday the 13th. But it was an icon. I know he's killed on Friday the 13th, though, dude. That's crazy. This is what I love doing, though. I love researching, bringing old stuff and making it modern and shedding light on things for people and giving you the information. And now you can go and do with it what you will. Because it is Friday the 13th. It is the dark moon. We have a very powerful new moon over the weekend that's going to leave us a bit, if you're feeling a bit chaotic right now, your energy's a bit off, that's kind of building up. This new moon is a little uneasy as well. That seems to be the word of the day, uneasy. So yeah, it's time for new beginnings. So that's my thing today. I'm really happy that I was able to do this. I hope that if any of you did fear Friday the 13th or you were superstitious of it, now you are like, hell no, I'm a witch. I'm embracing this shit. Because that's what I wanted today to be. Seriously. So I hope that has helped some of you to shed that. So y'all are very welcome. Thank you for being here today. I hope you have an amazing Friday the 13th. If you do have any more questions or anything, you can pop them up. I'll try to keep, tabs on the comments, even for the replays, for those watching the replay. So yeah, you can pop questions up or comments. And I usually do, keep up with the thread. So I hope you all have an amazing weekend, a beautiful dark moon, a new moon this weekend, that you set your intentions and you have an amazingly powerful Friday the 13th. Bye. I will see you all in 2 weeks.